Hi, I'm Livy,
I'm Kelsey
and we study fashion and textiles.
at Ulster University.
Perfect. Guys, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions because for one of my projects we are like designing a house specifically for somebody with like a certain like occupation. And the occupation and like person I chose was a fashion designer, and I have a bit of background in fashion and textiles, but you guys are the experts, so I wanted to get a bit of insight into what you would like to see in this space if it was for you. And one of the main questions, like one of the main points that I wanted to get into with you was kind of what do you like to see in like a studio and like personal space? Like how would you like visualize that like for yourself, like in the way you work and how you move about and what you would like to see in that kind of space?
I kind of like to see kind of a lot of kind of similar aspects to kind of both sides, but also as well having them as separate areas where I can be creative at one side as well as having another side of the either it's a building or whatever to have private area. So kind of like having space to kind of just be creative, do whatever, and just kind of then having to just be able to just close that door at the end of the day and just chill out somewhere then.
I'd like to have my work area close to my private area, not too close but
No,
not too far at the same time. I wouldn't want a whole separate building, like easily
Yeah.
like accessible.
I feel
So like something that's like two separate spaces but they're easily like accessible, so that if you did want to like go away and just be in like your private area, like you can completely shut out that part, or
even if it's like the part of the building or if it's like two
Yeah.
separate buildings, like but it's like within close like distance of each other,
Yeah.
like in the garden or something, like that would like be great. I feel like, because obviously I feel like as just the designer itself, like you can't just be constantly living in your creative area, like you need to have some sort of a boundary to like just have a break, just to have your own space and your own thoughts of just something away from creativity as well. I feel like, but then having that specific area just to kind of be creative and do whatever you want, sewing, having seen all your material spaces, having that specific area for it, it's more of kind of a more focused on your creativity then, I feel like.
do you like have like a physical divide between like your work and your work-life balance?
Yeah. So I think it's really important that you do have kind of like two separate areas, because you can't just be constantly kind of on top of it, like it all. Like having that own space is just kind of a place for you to just kind of chill out and all as well. But,
And like in terms of like the actual, say like the actual workshop itself, like layout wise, like what like would you want to see in that space? Like how would you best utilize a space if you were to design like your own studio? Like how would that look for you?
I would say definitely tall ceilings, big windows, let in like a lot of natural light. I feel like I work better with natural light instead of artificial, and I really like a loft sort of area, so that maybe the upstairs can be a place where I store my materials, and then the downstairs can be a bit more messy, stuff lying about, because that would be my actual work area, and upstairs would just sort of be storage. So
I feel like maybe like upstairs kind of would be a space where I would keep all my materials and stuff, but that probably would be my messy area where I'll be throwing a bit of everything, whilst I'll come downstairs and have a main focus then on the machines maybe of certain materials, rather than just seeing a ton of materials at one point when I'm trying to make something is maybe a bit overwhelming.
I think I'd be the opposite. I think I'd have my storage area clean and my actual working area would be a mess, which is a good balance either way, because you have a clean area and a messy area.
Like you need a bit of a messy area just to kind of know that you're kind of creating something. Like you can't just be, I don't know, like everyone works differently as well. Like I like having a bit of organisation as well as having a bit of mess, because I'm feeling a bit then I'm like,
So kind of like the idea of like having the one space but having it like divided into like two parts, kind of like that kind of vibe.
Like a designated working area
Yeah.
within the working area.
Yeah,
So-
right.
It kind of brings me back though as well to like having that two separate spaces, like like
Yeah.
having spaces to do specific things. Like
So it's like we're going like very like kind of like more structured kind of like vibe. And like in terms of like you like having like in the idea of like a loft kind of space within your space, would your personal space as well, like where you would like sleep, dine, like kind of things like that there, like would you want a loft space in that kind of environment as well, or is it like specifically for like your workspace?
I would say both, because for your private area, like bedrooms and stuff, you want like that sort of home feel. You don't just
More
want it to feel
traditional
like
vibe.
work.
Yeah.
but also I'll kind of like having the two separate areas quite similar to each other, because as kind of my two areas of that, like I'm quite comfortable at being at my own space, but as well as that I'm quite like comfortable in my kind of creative side as well, so having some kind of similarities, kind of maybe having maybe more of a private area maybe to have that like living area, but as well as that kind of having the lofts and all and the similar layout to it kind of creates comfort within you, maybe I'd say.
And it doesn't feel like you're walking into
Yeah.
a completely different
It's like
space.
and have being able to be comfortable, like going into the studio and kind of just doing what you want to do, really. Like I think that's quite important, to be comfortable in where you live as well as where you kind of create something and work.
Yeah. No, I get the vibe that you guys are going with, and like in terms of like the personal and studio space as well, like how does like that look for you? Because I know you guys were talking about like having them like separate and stuff like that, and so like are you guys thinking like maybe would you have like your studio like right up at the front of your house and then your personal area at the back, or is there like anything in particular like you're thinking about like around that?
I'd kind of like to put my kind of working / studio area in the front of the building, so having more kind of a side of the building where it's more windows, so people could see into where I'm creating. Kind of, I'm quite like comfortable with people seeing what I'm creating, so then I'm getting myself out there as well as kind of inspiring other people, maybe I'd say, whilst still having a bit of that, but having a bit more privacy at the back of the building to have my own living area. Having still kind of similar aspects of the windows and all, but maybe a bit more privacy as well as that.
I was going to say I would keep the windows, but maybe just not as big and extreme as the ones in the studio. Just
So you can still have the vibe of the natural light that you would have in your studio space, but
because
obviously
you're constantly thinking of like having like a creative idea of, but also kind of that comfort again as well, like being able to be comfortable in both similar areas that kind of have the same aspects as each other.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm gonna give you a wee bit of like context about like the area in itself and the project. So obviously there's a group of us, we're all doing these houses for these occupations or whatever, but the goal behind it is kind of a metaphor of a lighthouse, and it's kind of, so where it's located, so it would be located in Belfast, and it's kind of like a barrier between Clandeboy Gardens and Madrid Street. So ideally you would be bringing two communities together, and my question was how would you bring the public into your space? Like, is there anything that you do already that you kind of bring people together, or is there anything that you do like in that sense that you think would be like good to like add into your building as well?
Well, I really like the idea of the art shop that we have in uni, because they sell a lot of students' work, and it's a way of getting students' work and name out there, and to do something like that would be good because it would bring people in. You could do like workshops for different things, because like knitting and crocheting is really popular now, so it would be good to get people in from both sides as well. It would be an opportunity for people from both sides of
Having
the
the communities
mix.
from like different backgrounds to different ages as well, maybe having different kind of types of communities working together, like maybe kind of the elderly kind of like teaching what they know about kind of the creation of things.